Oh, I see that there's some of you already online. I'm so happy to see you. I'm just using some oils and brushing over my field while we're waiting for the top of the hour. Hope you've had a really wonderful week. May have been an up and down week, and that's okay. I'm using my White Angelica right this moment, and I'm going to use a little bit of sound healing as well. Well, maybe I'll wait on that. I've been using that already, so the frequencies are in this room and I'm feeling highly energized at the moment. So I'm just going to give you a little update on my fluorite crystals because I was actually a bit surprised. Well, not really, but when I looked at them again, I have been playing with them, but the last few days have been quite busy, and I had not really looked at them. And my fluorites, this is one that I received later, and you may not, I'm going to hold it up. It was almost black when I received it, and you may be able to see some of the colors that are in it. I've been rubbing it with oils and putting it with my other crystals and doing sound healing around it. The first two that I received, the very first one that I unboxed was fairly dark and not much clarity to it. And now, I don't know if you can see the colors that are in it, if that comes across at all, but it is much, much lighter. It's much clearer than it was last Sunday, as a matter of fact. And the rings are kind of at a 45-degree angle. I recognize this one because they are all different. This is the second one that I received, and it is the most surprising to me of all because it is very, very clear. You can see, I think even on the camera here, these horizontal rings where the colors change, which is very beautiful in a fluorite to have the purples and the turquoise, and this one goes all the way up to the top now. So if you have any doubts as to whether your oils are increasing the frequency of your crystals, try this and really pay attention to the way they look. So it looks like it is about the top of the hour now, so we will get started. And today I plan to talk about, put it out there that it would be, are you a reflector, a deflector, or an absorber? And we'll talk about what those kind of are, what that means. So the fact is that we are all a combination. The Asian cultures have known for thousands of years that there's the yin and the yang, and that it's important to have the balance. Generally speaking, females are more yin and males are more yang, meaning that the female has a natural tendency, or is wired, if you will. I like the word wired better than the word programmed, to receive. And unfortunately, we're not wired always or prepared to receive only positive things. Whatever frequency is coming in is what we likely choose just to allow to come into our fields, which is going to affect our frequencies, our energy, our emotions in every way imaginable. So as the female, some of you are males out there and I will get there. As the female, it is extremely important for us to pay attention. Now, similarly, the males are more wired to be the giver, to give out energy. So they are less likely to take on things from others. However, they're also potentially can be giving away their own things that they require. So there has to be a balance in here. And to me, the most important thing that we can do is to understand that this is constantly going on, this taking and giving of energy. So it's okay for us to focus on letting in those things that we choose to allow and keeping out those things that we choose not to have in our field. Because each one of us, in becoming who we were created to be, every single one of us was designed, totally created to be perfect, with a perfect set of knowledge and abilities to do something special. And it's when we allow other interference in that we lose our ability to be effective as who we are. Am I making any sense? So how can we do this? Well, the first thing is that awareness. That is extremely important, to be aware. To focus. Okay. Awareness is one thing. Focus on what we're doing is extremely important. It's key. They have to work together. And to work towards that balance. Now, that is, last week I challenged each of you to write in your journal every day, to spend a little time really going within, paying attention, to work on that refinement list. I have my refinement list. I'm sorry, I have to go way back to get to my refinement list. But the refinement list, pay attention to it every day. Look at it. Understand which ones of the things are the most important for you to focus upon on that day, and really pay attention to how you're doing it. And to write, that checking in is all part of understanding, of focusing on what's happening in the moment. Our energy can change in a heartbeat. It truly can. And what we are allowing in, we may have taken a lot of time and energy to make our home a harmonious place where we can exist, especially when we are all kind of confined these days. Now, you know, and the people in Singapore were all primed to be able to go out again, to lift this thing, this period of quarantine for the 1st of May. And they learned last week that it's going to go on another month. This is definitely low, because when you have an expectation of something happening and you've really, really worked hard to keep your spirits up, your emotions balanced, and everything around you, it is so important for us to allow ourselves to have some space, to realize that through no fault of our own, this is going to go on for a while longer. So it's okay not to be happy about it. It's okay to have some moments that are less than positive. Many of you, I have often been described as the voice of positivity, and Stephen reminds me that I live in my flower world. However, every moment is not perfect for me either. The key is, what are we allowing? How are we allowing other things to bring us down? Paying attention. So this all goes back to boundaries. Would you agree? And boundaries are something that for many of us, particularly we women who are wired to receive things all the time, boundaries are uncomfortable. However, it is important for us to give ourselves some space. Now, I talked about this, what I had challenged each of you to do this past week, to take that time to spend some time alone, whether it has to be at 3 o'clock in the morning that you get up, to be alone and journal. Spend a little bit of time journaling. Well, guess what? Francis didn't journal every day. It would be very, very easy for me to not to admit that. It would also be easy for me to pretend that I had done it to myself, but I didn't. Now, why is it that I could not find the time and the focus to sit down and write for a few moments in my journal? I wrote, but it wasn't in my journal, and it wasn't my feelings. So I have a choice now. I can either judge myself harshly, or I can move on, say, that is like the 4 agreements. We always do our best in each moment. When we do our best in each moment, making the choices that we feel are the most appropriate way to spend that moment, then we have no regrets. So, by the way, geranium essential oil is a great oil to help us with that judgment, to release that judgment. We also have different things that we can focus on that don't have to take a lot of time. Last week I talked about the pairing of the ways, which Stephen loves to do. This can be done anywhere. You can do it with your children, whoever's confined in your house with you. It's kind of fun to sit there, use an oil. I love to use the Sacred Mountain, because it anchors that energy of the sacred space, which is that harmony inside, the chaos and the distractions outside, and the boundaries. Now, I had mentioned, of course, the reflector. Well, if you focus upon reflecting back those things that are not supporting you, making that intent to put a mirror around you that just reflects it back away from you, this is going to support you in many ways. It can move you forward just simply by not being bombarded with a lot of negative energy. Now, where does a lot of negative energy come? When we're confined in our homes, the doors are closed, nothing is coming in. Where does most of the energy that is disruptive come from? If you thought the phone, you're probably quite right. I'm finding that that's been my big distraction. So it is a real challenge for me, since we're all online more, and I know you're online watching me right now, right this moment, but just to make certain that we intend that nothing that would be harmful would come, no frequencies that would disrupt the balance and harmony into our own field be allowed to come in. This is not harming another, it's merely making sure you reflect those back into the phone, that they don't come into your space. And as I said, for those of us who tend to absorb things, if I had a Geiger counter or whatever to check my frequency, many, many times, I'm sure that I would be, after my meditation and my journaling, my energy would be so strong. I feel harmonious and balanced and happy and excited, full of energy to meet the world. And since we're not going out, how do we meet the world? We turn on our phones. We look at the news. We read things that are dragging us down. It's as if red, black, green, purple, whatever, energy is just bombarding your field. Energy that may not be, or likely is not raising your frequency. So if we take just that moment to brush over our phone and intend that nothing come out of the phone or the computer that is going to be disruptive in any way. And then focus upon inside, making our harmony and balance so that we can keep that chaos outside. That's what the sacred space is all about. Now, Stephen tells me I'm not a martial artist. Fighting is not part of who I am. However, Stephen has said that in the martial arts, they teach that the way you get your greatest strength is not necessarily by the force of the blow, or certainly not by receiving too many, but by turning slightly to deflect the strength of the opponent. And in this case, the opponent would be the energies that are not supportive of you and your purpose. So if this is just another little thing that we can do to think about, to remind us and to constantly check in. Checking in is important first thing in the morning. Checking in is important last thing before we go to bed. But checking in is also important throughout your day. Taking a few deep breaths, applying your favorite oil. I have been using a lot of Northern Lights black spruce, which is the energy of nurturing, because it's that energy of balance between giving and receiving, so that we do not allow ourselves to take on more negativity than we can handle, and we don't give away our positivity more than we can handle. It is that perfect balance of giving and receiving. So as you go through this week, I'd like for you to pay attention. You may want to set an alarm. Since we're not often in offices or anything, we can set alarms every hour or every 2 hours. Many of you know that for years, we're talking more than 15 years, I have set alarms on my phone for 5 minutes past the even hour. Now, why did I make it 5 minutes past? I'm not really sure, except that I just did. And it's the even hours all day long through till I get ready to go to bed to ring an alarm reminding me to breathe and to intend to integrate my true knowledge and abilities. So my alarm actually says breathe and integrate. Now, if you use an essential oil, that's going to make it more powerful, isn't it? So you may choose the ones. I love to use the lavender and cedarwood. I use them probably 8 or 10 times a day, because lavender holds that frequency of your own developing and running your own energy, your energy signature. And when we have our own energy signature, we are powerful beings, and we are creating our cells and our molecules exactly the way that they were designed to be, the healthy cells, healthy molecules, so that we will be strong, healthy beings at the physical level, the emotional level, the spiritual level, the mental level, and the energetic level. And I love to use the cedar wood often because cedar wood is going to anchor that frequency of understanding who we are, of taking off our masks and being authentic. So as you go along, just pick out the oils that you particularly choose to have in your life. One of the things that comes up on my refinement list daily that I choose not to have in my life is drama, and I choose to have in my life harmony. So harmony would be a great blend. I often use the ylang-ylang, which anchors that glyph, the 9th glyph, which is about everything working together. So choose your oils carefully. Just select a few each day that you're going to use. And if you choose to set your alarm, to breathe, to focus on asking yourself, where is my energy right this moment? On a scale of 1 to 10, is it above a 5? Thankfully, yes. Is it above a 7? Yes. Is it above an 8? Yes. Is it up to 10? No. So is it a 9? It's probably about a 9 right now. It was at a 10 before I started. Maybe I could get it to come a little higher by some sound healing. Or by using another oil and breathing it in with the intent of raising my frequency, of holding one of my crystals and feeling its energy. That's one of the things that crystals can do for us. When we love them and anoint them with high frequency essential oils and make that intent that they anchor their highest frequency, when we require some additional support, they are there and have the ability to give us that extra support. So use this time to play. Find the ways that are the most comfortable for you. I'm finding all sorts of new ways, and as I said, I'm using the pairing of the ways more and more, feeling my hands get energized and intending to just brush through anything that is not part of my true authentic self and is pulling me down. So have a beautiful week and figure out more and more in your refinement process. If you choose to join our group, we'll love to hear your comments and your questions, the New Life Journey. And I'll look forward to seeing you again next Sunday.